welcome everyone. I would personally like to welcome everyone. I'm Dean Spear. I'm as I like to jokingly say, I'm the senior campaign assistant for the UW Combined Fund Drive. The CFD is a statewide program that all state agencies participate in. It's a fabulous, awesome program. I'm very proud to be a part of it, have been for many years in many different roles. And today's Lunch and Learn is an opportunity to learn about one of the many nonprofits that the Combined Fund Drive supports. So without any further ado, again, welcome everyone. And we will begin with Wesley from Intiman. So Wesley, you will unmute yourself, please, and take it. I can't talk now. Take it away.
Hi, everyone. My name is Wesley Forget. My pronouns are he, him. I am the Director of Development and Communication at Intiman Theater. And it's such a pleasure to be with you all in this remote space together. So I am going to share my screen and present a little, oh, I hope this is it. Here, let's see. Share. There we go. Okay, can you all see that? Yes, okay. Okay, so I'm sure many of you are probably familiar, but I'm just gonna give you a brief overview of Intiman and what we've been up to during the pandemic, which has been full of adventures. So Intiman is actually turning 50 years old next year, and it's a Tony Award winning regional theater based right here in Seattle. The company is one of those, it's a mid-tier professional regional theater that has a long legacy of reinvention and trailblazing that continues today. Some of our most recognizable productions over the past kind of like 10 years are shown right here, from Angels in America in the middle to Dragon Lady with Sarah Porkalob, Caught with Justin Huertas, lots of great productions over the past 10 years. And we're really known for our incredible production value and our socially progressive productions. Next slide. So during the pandemic, we took the time to really gather with our constituents and dream with them about what the future of Intiman looks like as part of our Look to the Future campaign. We met with about 200 folks. And together we came up with this new kind of evolution of Intiman's mission statement, which is Intiman Theater uses the power of story and education to activate dialogue, confront inequity, and build collective joy. So really a focus of the theater that's two-part, with one being productions and one being providing quality arts education. So another focus of the theater during the pandemic was on finding a new home. We had actually been homeless, presenting at theaters around the city for about 5 years after we gave up our lease on the Playhouse. And so we're really thrilled now to be the professional theater in residence at Seattle Central College. It's a really exciting new opportunity for us, and we moved in over the summer. So we're now producing in the Erickson Theater, which is on Harvard between Pike and Pine, and at the Broadway Performance Hall, which is just across the street on the corner of Broadway and Pine. We also have relocated our costume shops here, all of our prop storage, our scene shops here now, and all of our admin offices. I'm actually Zooming to you live from Seattle Central College in the Fine Arts Building, where my office is. It's really exciting for us to be right here in the heart of the Capitol Hill Arts District. And we also have amazing access to public transportation. There's also a parking garage here, so really exciting. In addition to our new home, and really in alignment with our new mission statement and our focus on arts education, we have launched an Associate of Arts degree in partnership with Seattle Central College. So the emphasis of the program is in technical theater for social justice. So it's an incredible opportunity to broaden the pathway for marginalized groups to enter into backstage storytelling. And it's not just for theater, it's also for television, film, the concert industry. There's so many different industries in the creative fields where you might not be performing on the stage or in like necessarily like a director or something like that, but maybe you're rigging the lights, maybe you're setting up the sound system, maybe you are painting the set. And those are the future, that future workforce is being trained right now by Intiman and SCC in a 2-year program, which is very accessible, and it costs less than $10,000 a year, or actually for the whole thing, less than 10,000 for the whole degree. And our first cohort of students started in September. And this is a photo of them, some of them right now learning the rigging system at Broadway Performance Hall. This program is kind of like a next step for the Starfish Project, which is something that we've been running in high schools in South Seattle for the past 6 years. And here's some students right there. And it's a free after school technical theater training program for high school students. And what we were finding is that we were spending time in these high schools, and as the students were graduating, they didn't really have a next step. So we were super excited to partner with SCC to kind of create that, like, the next step of, you could finish at Starfish Project, then you can move into this AA degree at the college. During the pandemic, you'll see here kind of on the right, the students actually worked together to create a film about finding resilience during a pandemic. And this is them shooting the film. And you can see it for free on our website, intiman.org/starfish. Intiman has started producing again. We're so excited. We did a weekend-long performing arts festival in September called Homecoming. We had well over 100 artists perform outside of our theater. We just did like a huge block party, and we're really thinking about our role as a new neighbor in Capitol Hill for holding space for the arts in the Capitol Hill Arts District, and also providing space for the LGBTQ community in their traditional neighborhood. Up next, we have The Mystery of Irma Vep, which is a reimagined revival of a classic Intiman production. This will actually be the 3rd time that we've done it. It's going to be at the Erickson Theater in February, and it's a penny dreadful sci-fi romp that centers on an English estate that's haunted by the former mistress who has recently passed away, or has she? Bum, bum, bum. And it's really fun because the entire cast of eclectic characters is played by just 2 actors. There's about 40 quick costume changes. It's really wild. And then in May, we'll have 2 Mile Hollow at the Broadway Performance Hall, which is a hilarious new comedy with an entire Asian American cast that plays a rich white family that is saying goodbye to their Hamptons estate. Tickets for Irma Vep are going on sale in just a few weeks. And then I was just checking the chat. So yeah, where do you come in? Intiman is really rebuilding right now. We are focused on, so much is new at the theater. We're in a new home, a new neighborhood. We're reopening after COVID. So we're really reliant on donors just like you to help sustain the theater as we are in this rebuilding phase and welcoming audiences back. So there are a few things that you can be part of. One is join our Inti Club. It's a new monthly membership program that we launched just over the summer, and all the members get 50% off tickets, and we do all kinds of fun events and parties. We're gonna have a Happy Holidays Happy Hour on January 13th for all of our Inti Club members, and it starts at just $8 a month. Donors also support our Free for Everyone access ticket program. Every show at Intiman, if you show up an hour before curtain, we have set aside a block of free tickets to anyone who needs one. So if you show up and you need a free ticket, we got you covered. That's our Free for Everyone program. And then also, just remember Intiman in your end of year giving. Giving Tuesday is coming up next week. That's a great time to make an end of year gift. And of course, through this program that we're talking about right now. That's it. We're looking forward to seeing you all at the theater. And thanks for supporting Intiman over the past 50 years. It means so much to us. Here's to 50 more.
Thank you, Wesley. A fabulous presentation. And I was reminded, as a personal trivia note, I was the very first performance at the Broadway Performance Hall in 1979. The repertory dance company that I was in at the time, we opened the theater. So I love that space. So, and I love Intiman as well. So
That's awesome.
thank you. Well, I'm also thrilled to move on to our next speaker, which is Nicole Song from PNB. And I look forward to hearing what she has to say. So Nicole, I'm going to turn the gavel over to you. Thank you. And thank you again, Wesley.
Thank you. Just give me a second to get situated. Hello, good afternoon. My name is Nicole Song, and I am the annual fund manager at Pacific Northwest Ballet, or PNB for short. PNB is both a performing arts organization and also a ballet school. We are one of the largest ballet companies in North America and also a leader in dance training and dance education. PNB is one of the resident organizations that performs at McCall Hall, which is in the Seattle Center, with a company of 42 dancers. And our school is comprised of 2 locations, the Phelps Center in Seattle and the Francia Russell Center in Bellevue. Altogether, if you add it all up, through our performances, outreach, and school, we serve more than 200,000 people in our community. Our mission is to set new standards for artistic excellence, innovation, and creativity, to attract the most talented dancers, choreographers, musicians, collaborative artists, staff, and volunteers, to educate and develop dance artists as well as enthusiasts, to captivate a devoted, supportive, continually growing and diverse audience, and to strengthen our financial and organizational foundation. So how do we do that? How do we execute our mission? We are in our final year of our 5-year strategic plan, and our guiding principle is to inspire, engage, and educate through dance. In one season, we perform different types of productions. We have full-length story ballets, that's like Swan Lake, and we have 2-act story ballets, shows like Midsummer Night's Dream. We have mixed repertory productions, and finally, George Balanchine's The Nutcracker. To perform those ballets, we have our company. Our company is comprised of 42 dancers, and they are quite an adventurous and diverse group of folks. And 4 of them this year are new. We have Jonathan Batista joining us originally from Brazil, Gina Peterson from Ballet West, James Kirby Rogers from Kansas City Ballet, and Lily Wills. We also have 4 new PDs, which are our professional division students. Today is actually officially their very first day in the studios as PDs. And PDs are students in our school who are at the highest level. They rehearse and perform with our company for Nutcracker and other performances, and sometimes act as understudies as well. As I mentioned before, and as I'm sure you know, every year we perform George Balanchine's The Nutcracker. And each year we welcome about 85,000 people to McCall Hall to watch the show. Many of them are new to ballet or new to PNB. Because of that, we consider Nutcracker kind of our gateway ballet. As you can see from this pie chart, 74% of people who buy their very first ticket to see a PNB performance attend the Nutcracker. And so let's say they thoroughly enjoyed the performance and they had an amazing time. Next, now they want to see another PNB performance. What kind of production do you think they buy a ticket to next? If you guessed Nutcracker, you are correct. So 64% of people who buy a second ticket to see a show at PNB choose the Nutcracker. Interestingly, the next most popular second purchase is for a tier 1 full-length ballet. That would be something like Giselle or Swan Lake, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, those kind of shows. So Nutcracker is our gateway ballet for other types of productions, but it is also our gateway ballet for subscriptions. Simply because of Nutcracker's cohort size, it is the largest driver of new subscription sales for PNB. And as I mentioned before, one component of our mission is to strengthen our financial and organizational support. Last year was a little atypical because of the pandemic. We were successfully able to launch a digital season, and 61% of our revenue came from ticket sales, subscriptions, school tuition, etc. And 54% of our revenue came from contributed revenue from individual donations and corporate support and fundraising events. We were very lucky, and we received an outpouring support of and dedication from our donors near and far. A total of 6,242 people across 10 countries and 49 states donated to PNB. If you're curious which state did not receive a donation, or we did not receive a donation from, it was Arkansas. So if you know anyone from Arkansas, tell them to head over to pnb.org. So how do we balance out our expenses and revenue and ensure stability for many years to come? I mentioned that our guiding principle at PNB is to inspire, engage, and educate through dance. Well, you can't do that without being innovative and pushing the art form. And in order to take creative risks, that requires some financial stability. Most of our organizational expenses are fixed, but we can change our programming. Traditional story ballets like the Nutcracker and Giselle and Swan Lake, they are our crowd pleasers, but our new works and mixed repertory productions are really what propels PNB, because those ballets are advancing the art form and pushing the envelope and putting our name out there. We also need to look to our young people. Our audience development programs are designed to attract young and diverse audiences, and hopefully they continue to engage in the ballet, because we can't envision a future for PNB if there is no one there to perform for. And as I've touched on before, our baseline for our sustainability is indeed Nutcracker. Nutcracker really fuels everything. The last facet of PNB that I'll talk about today is our school, which is one of the top 3 ballet training institutions in the US. Typically, enrollment is around 1,100 students across Bellevue and Seattle, but this year we're just over 600 due to attrition because of COVID. And then within our school, we have our 5-week summer course that attracts more than 300 students from 36 states and 9 countries. They dorm at Seattle Pacific University in the summer, and you can often catch them traipsing about Queen Anne in their ballet buns and sweats. And then another part of our school is our community education program. And we partner with Seattle Public Schools with a program called Dance Chance. And we partner and offer free dance classes to students that are interested. This year, we have 95% of Dance Chance Level 1 students. They identify as BIPOC, and 64% of our Level 3s identify as BIPOC. And we are partnering with schools like Maple Elementary this year. It's been a little difficult with the pandemic to partner with schools, as I'm sure you all can understand. School turned digital, and as schools have slowly transitioned back to in-person classes, we have been slowly making our way back with our programs. Another program we do with Seattle Public Schools is Discover Dance. And this is where we go to schools instead of the other way around, like Dance Chance. And we teach dance classes, and then they get to come to McCall Hall at the end of the semester and perform in person. And this year, in January 2022, will be the first time that we're back in schools, which we're really, really excited to kind of really get this program launched up again. And this year we'll be partnering with 3 elementary schools, Graham Hill, Eastgate, and Thurgood Marshall. And unfortunately, because of the pandemic and COVID, their performance will not be at McCaw Hall, but it will be digital. So that's all that I wanted to talk to you today about PNB, just giving you an overview of what we do, of our programs and performances on stage and behind the curtain. If you have any questions, you can visit pnb.org.
Thank you, Nicole, so very much. And speaking of questions, we are reserving time at the end of everyone's presentation for questions batched at the end. So Nicole, thank you so much. I love hearing all the backstage stuff about PNB, and I enjoy, I guess I'm a data and stats geek at heart. I never realized that until I got over here to the U. So I enjoy seeing all of your graphs and statistics. So it's a very impressive thing. And PNB does beautiful, beautiful work. Well, I know that Michael is anxious to tell us about Arts Fund, and Arts Fund supports PNB and so many other things. So Michael, would you let us know more about Arts Fund, please?
I would love to, and I'm going to try to screen share here. Let's hope that it works out. How does that look for everyone? I probably need to make it full screen. How does that?
Quite good, thank you.
All right, let's see. So, excellent. Well, hey, I'm just going to start. My name is Michael Greer. I am the president and CEO at Arts Fund. And I want to start by saying like a super big thank you to everyone that is here. Our community exists because there are so many wonderful organizations like Intiman, like PNB, like the university that are doing this work to support having arts and culture in our community. So what is Arts Fund? Our mission is to support the arts through leadership, advocacy, and grant making in order to build a healthy, equitable, and creative Washington. And so what does that mean? That actually means that we support the entire ecosystem of arts and culture within the community. And in terms of the way that we support through those 3 pillars of leadership, advocacy, and grant making. And I'll talk a little bit about each one of them, and then I'll tell you a little bit about what we're seeing in the sector, and then I'll kind of wrap it all up at the end. But one thing that I like to say, especially in regards to giving in regard to this fund drive, is that if you love Intiman, give to Intiman. If you love PNB, give to PNB. What we are here to do is to collect funds in order to promote capacity growth within the sector at large. And so we're always very specific to say, if you have a favorite organization that you really love and that you want to see thrive, please give to them directly. But if you're looking to take some extra funds and support the entire ecosystem of arts and culture within the community, that's where Arts Fund really shines. So what are those 3 pillars? Leadership, advocacy, and grant making. In terms of leadership, what we do is we host a number of capacity building workshops throughout the course of the year. An example would be something like our board leadership training program, where we do a 6-week training for new or sometimes very senior board members that are either in positions at arts and culture organizations or are looking to get into positions at arts and culture organizations. And we give them a 6-week training to give them kind of the tools that they need in order to be effective board members, because we feel that that's important for our sector to have. Something that we call our Cultural Partners Network is a network of about 130 organizations that are arts and culture focused throughout the greater Puget Sound, and we host convenings with them. So we bring those groups together to give them space to talk about issues that are affecting them now and in the future. This was particularly important during COVID, and during over the past year, there was very little space for groups to come together and discuss what was happening in their industries, and so we tried to provide that. In terms of advocacy, we are one of the larger advocates for arts and culture within the community. Last year, we were the distributors of about $11 million from the Washington State Department of Commerce for the nonprofit community recovery grants. In addition, we were part of an advocacy group that successfully advocated for about $75 million from the city, the county, and the state in terms of relief funding. And we are in the middle of what we're calling our COVID cultural impact study, which it's about a year-long survey that is wrapping up, and we'll be distributing it in early January of 22. But it basically surveyed about 200 organizations and over 1,000 residents within Washington State to get some data on exactly what happened during the pandemic. And that will be a significant advocacy tool for organizations and politicians to use in advocating for arts and culture programs in the future. So advocacy is a large portion of what we do at Arts Fund. In addition to that, we have our grant making. On top of the monies that we distributed on behalf of the Department of Commerce last year, we also distributed $2.5 million of our own funds to a number of different organizations throughout the greater Puget Sound. And at the height of the pandemic, we also did about an additional $3 million worth of relief funding to groups when they needed it the most. And so that leadership, advocacy, and grant making are the three pillars of what it is that we do at Arts Fund. Very quickly, one of the things that we pride ourselves on is having data on the sector. And so I'd like to share just a little bit of that with everyone right now. I think I don't need to tell anyone that last year was bad. Like that just sums it all up. It was a bad year for everyone. And to put some numbers around that, we saw the numbers up to 65% reductions in earned revenue for the sector as a whole. It's just a massive number for organizations that are usually working at very, very low margins. Some of the challenges that we're seeing for what's going on right now and into the near future is that there are still hesitancies in returning to some downtown spaces. The government stimulus is drying up. Some of the production costs are getting more because people are having to, keep their digital programming, and they're also having to deal with, creating different spaces, that whether that's PP&E or whether that's increased filtration, so that the cost of doing business is going up, and people's general risk appetite has changed since before the pandemic. And so these are all things that are making it far more difficult for organizations to do what they need to do coming into 2022. That said, there are a lot of opportunities that we're seeing as well. The top two are really, number one is that people are apart from that hesitancy, people are really hungry to get back. People want to get out of their homes, they want to be in spaces with other people, and they want to witness art together. There's hesitancy about how best to do that, but there is just this very human instinct to be out and connecting with people that the industry is really there to serve. And on top of that, the change in delivery methods that I think everyone has talked about in terms of being able to be live and digital, and the spaces that we're in, the communities that we're able to engage with, is really important for growth into new markets. And this is important from an economic basis. It's also important from a cultural and equity lens. There are more touch points and there's more availability to interact with the arts and culture sector than there ever has been before. And so we're hoping that the sector, continues to lean in on that. So what is our big takeaway from what we're seeing in the sector? It's that the change is key. And organizations like Intiman and PNB are doing just fantastic work in terms of adapting to this new environment and meeting people where they're at. And in order to do that, the sector needs resources. And we are not shy in saying that there is going to need to be increased fundraising and increased donations throughout probably the next 2 or 3 years in order to support this shift as organizations continue to lean into digital, continue to lean into new communities, and continue to bring art to different people in different ways. And so we're hoping that we're relying on all of the generosity of people like yourself and many more in the community in order to make that happen. And so with that, I am going to post a little something in the chat as far as some links, but I will turn it over. I'll turn it back to Dean. So thank you all very, very much.
Oh, well, thank you, Michael. Excellent. I love hearing what Arts Fund does, and you have such outreach and great, and you support such great organizations. One of which I know little to nothing about, except as I told Arissa, who is our next speaker, I live just a couple blocks from the community centers. So Arissa Nakamura is going to talk to us about the Japanese Cultural and Community Center of Washington. And Arissa, I will let you go ahead and take it away, please. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much for introduction. Hi, everyone. I am Arisa Nakamura. I'm a graphic design and marketing staff at the Japanese Cultural and Community Center of Washington, short JCCCW, 3 Cs. And this is the building behind me. And I came from Japan. I went to UW and I went to grad school to study landscape design, community design. And then I started working at the J. And first, I would like to start playing a video about us, which shows who is the user, who is the community of our building. Let me share the screen, desktop, and then this is our website. If you go to About Us, there is a video about us. Oh, let me stop sharing first. I need to share the sound too. Share sound. Oh, okay. Annabelle, it seems like I cannot share the sound on the video. Would you be able to play the video for me?
Yes, let me try and do that.
Thank you. I will send you the link to the website.
Okay, if you stop sharing, I can just do the.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Does this
it.
work?
Thank you. Yes.
Perfect.
More than a century ago, members of the Seattle area Japanese community built the Japanese language school near the corner of Rainier and Weller. During these early days, the room served as a place for not only learning the Japanese language, but also Japanese culture and traditions. To hear a story of the school and the community center is to hear a story about us and about where we've been. Just ask Irene Shigaki.
Starting with my grandfather, Kotaro, he was a carpenter and he immigrated to Seattle via Kauai, Hawaii. And when they were building the Japanese language school in about 1912, he was one of the carpenters who helped to build it.
Most of the Shigaki family attended the school at one point in their lives. Many were even taught by Irene's mom, Yasuko, who spent more than 30 years as a teacher and then as principal at the Japanese language school. But the Shigaki family also saw the JLS as their home. The school served as a temporary residence for the Shigakis and dozens of other families following World War II. The buildings were coined the Hunt Hotel and helped many Japanese Americans transition from the incarceration camps. Today, Nihongo can still be heard echoing through the building's hallways and recited in its classrooms. From youngsters learning their first words through lessons and songs, to adults like Pamela Okana, a sansei who wishes to reconnect with her past and heritage by brushing up on her Japanese.
But once I started learning Japanese, I realized I knew more words than I thought I did. But they were in the back of my memory and I had to really work to pull them up. But I think most sansei know maybe at least 100 words, but they've forgotten them. They don't realize that they know them, but when somebody says them again, you think, oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
A place of learning, a place that some of us have even called home, and for others, like Di Goto, the school is even a place where love is found.
So I took some classes at the Japanese language school, which is the cultural center now. And in the class was my future sister-in-law. And since I had walked to the class and it was night, she took me home. And that's how my husband now, Sam, and I got started in our relationship. And so it served as a matchmaking place too.
At the community center, stories like these are permanently recorded through monthly workshops in a program called Omoide, the Japanese word for memories. More than 100 people have contributed to Omoide with their stories from the community preserved in the program's published books. The community center is a place where all generations can reconnect or even discover their Japanese family's history and legacy. In 2012, Johnny Uno Valdez joined a group hosted by the Community Center that plans an annual pilgrimage to the Minidoka incarceration camp in Idaho. Johnny says visiting Minidoka has helped him better understand his grandfather, who passed away in 1990.
It's kind of like coming back home and it's full circle, and I don't know, it's a great honor. It's been an awesome experience.
While on the pilgrimage, Johnny photographed hundreds of pictures that have been edited into a photo essay he titled My Minidoka. They're now on display at the Japanese Cultural and Community Center's Northwest Nikkei Museum. The school and community center also serve as the cultural heartbeat for Japanese and Japanese Americans living in Western Washington. Programs and performances are held year-round, and weekly activities like karate, judo, and taiko are just a few of the many opportunities that help connect the local community with Japanese culture. Linda Inigawa has been practicing taiko for 3 years.
And for me, and I think all of my classmates, this is a great lesson, not only in the art form of taiko, but also we learned so many things about Japan's. Yeah, we had a great time.
The Japanese Cultural and Community Center of Washington is where memories are born and stories from our past are preserved.
Thank you very much, Annabelle. That's the end of the video. And I will go back to share my screen. Okay. So the mission of the JCCCW is to build and grow a central gathering place for sharing and promoting Japanese and Japanese American culture and heritage. In addition to the language school, Omoide project, cultural classes like the taiko and martial arts, we also have a Hoseki Bako, Japanese resale shop. All of the items at the store are donated to us by the community, and everything is Japanese and Japanese inspired items. All proceeds from Hoseki Bako store goes to the JCCW programs like kokeshi, kimono, and tea sets. In addition to that, we also have a mural art, Nikkei Story by Roger Shimomura, a Japanese American artist, and he grew up in an American concentration camp during the World War II. Roger portrays his own family history, grandparents, parents, and himself to partially represent the Japanese American experience. Including this mural art, there are more permanent exhibitions open to the public for free. If you're interested in getting involved, please visit our website, jccw.org. Here is a photo of volunteers who helped our recent event that only happened this Sunday. It's an artisan craft and holiday gift sale. Volunteers helped us a lot, especially we have those events. And then in addition to that, we have library, Japanese library that is also run by volunteers. Whether you're available or for only 1 weekend a year or can come in on a regular schedule, there are volunteer opportunities for you to make a difference in the community. We also have internship program. Now we are currently accepting interns for communications, marketing, and museum collection assistant by December 1st. So if you know anyone interested in an opportunity, please refer this opportunity. We also accept online donations via our website. And if you come around in Chinatown Industrial District, please visit us. We're open from Monday to Friday, 10 to 5. We also have social media account, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And so if you have interested, please follow us. Thank you very much.
Arigato, Arisa. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone. This is now an opportunity for our participants to ask questions of our presenters. And if you are wanting to ask a question, you will need, as a friendly reminder, to unmute yourself, ask your question, and then remute yourself, please. So we are open for questions.
I have a question for you. How has it been transitioning people back into seats if you're transitioning people back into seats? And the same question for, I think, Nicole from PNB. Are people coming? Are they scared? Michael, and then do you have any kind of broader worldview about what's happening in butts in seats and people back in museums and the arts?
That's a great question. I'll start off. PNB so far has done 2 shows this year in 2021, open for the public. The first one we specifically only had available to season subscribers to limit the number of people in the hall and to kind of test out our safety protocols, etc. But after that, the appetite was so large that for the second show, it was supposed to only be available for subscribers, but we opened it up to single ticket buyers. And we hit our goal. We had more people than we expected come to see the show, and people remember their vaccination cards. They had it downloaded on their phone. They were pretty enthused to be back and in the hall with live musicians and live dance. It was honestly quite emotional, the first show. I think all of us weeped a little inside. And there are some folks who, you know, maybe immunocompromised or living in a multi-generational home that are a little apprehensive, and we have our digital season open and available for them to enjoy.
I'm happy just to chime in and say, yeah, I mean, we're seeing that people really, really, really want to be back. They're not quite there yet. And that's really important. Like, it's still going to take a lot of support, but the key, I think, is to go. Like, if you haven't been and you feel comfortable, go, because the feeling is really like, I know I felt this way. Like, I mean, I've forgotten how good it feels to be in those spaces. And we're such adaptable creatures. We've all gotten used to sitting in our living rooms for the past 18 months. But the second you start going back out, it just opens everything back up again. So yeah, get out, go if you can.
So how has offering, I'm going to ask another question, I guess. How has offering hybrid programs, so opening to the public, having people, having butts in seats as it were, and streaming or live streaming programs, how has that changed your model, and how is that impacting your bottom line and your fundraising?
An excellent question. Something we asked ourselves every day. It's definitely changed our model. It has opened up many doors for us to really focus on accessibility for the ballet. A lot of folks see the ballet as like a very stuffy, highbrow art form, and there's sometimes that physical barrier of I can't travel, parking is too expensive, etc. And so we've been able to open up our programs to those abroad even, or people who used to live in Seattle when they were a kid and now live in Florida or something. But it definitely has changed our business model and how we fundraise. We have more reach now than ever, but also the production costs and the logistics around a digital season are very difficult and intricate and complex because it involves, gosh, 3 or 4 different unions, and those media rights are difficult to negotiate around and figure out. And then also we have choreographers or foundations that hold rights to certain choreography. And then there's music rights. And so navigating those waters in the beginning was extremely challenging, but something that we have grown accustomed to. But now it's growing, the appetite is growing, and the conversations are getting more complex. So it's something we need to nail down and figure out, because I think it's here to stay. Definitely, we want it to stay. So it's just about getting everyone on the same page.
I think from the theater perspective, it's similar type of situation as it is, with PNB, where it's like you're working with so many unions, and then there's an added layer of capturing the sound and the text, whereas dance, I think, lends itself really well to digital. I think theater is much harder to translate, and there is already so much that exists in television and film that is storytelling. So, without reinventing the wheel, I'm not certain what that's going to look like at Intiman. And I also think that people's appetite for engaging with digital content is decreasing as the pandemic is waning. So, we just had our gala this like last week, and we did an in-person event which sold out, and then we did an online event as well a few days later, which was lightly attended. And I just think we're going to continue to see that people think of the live arts as an in-person experience, and so it'll be interesting to see how that progresses and what that means with digital content and how that is shown.
Yeah, the J also see the differences between the, before the pandemic and after the pandemic during also. The language school went to online, and also we started the online store for the wholesale people resale store, which helped us financially pretty much. But the fundraising events and public events had to go to online, and we started YouTube channel for the first time. No one was familiar with the YouTuber, so it was very challenging. Then we reopened the J since this August, and we started to go back to in-person event gradually. Sometimes it has to be by appointment only, but still, we really enjoy seeing each other after the long, term. And unfortunately, we're not able to do food-related events like mochi pounding every New Year. Hundreds of people used to gather together, but maybe multiple years later. But we're hoping to go back to in-person experience too.
I'll just share really broadly, and I say this quite a bit, so forgive me if you've heard it before, but I say, it took Disney and Netflix and HBO and Hulu decades and billions of dollars in order to really develop digital content and delivery in a way that people really wanted to engage with. And our sector has been asked to do that in 18 months with zero resources. So we're seeing that there still is a really great appetite. And, as Nicole mentioned, that entry point is Nutcracker for a lot of folks in ballet. And we're finding that there is an entry point for new communities that maybe, and I'll name it particularly within communities of color, that feel disengaged from four walls and a theater or whatever that is. And there's an entry point in some of this digital delivery that may be able to be a feeder to get them, into spaces. Because at the end of the day, it's a live art form. It's live. It's participatory. But that entry point is really important, and to have as many of those as possible, I think, is kind of the future of what we're seeing in the industry. So at least it's what we hope.
Michael, have you seen an interest in people from a lot of different backgrounds now that it's a little more accessible to folks?
Yes. And we're getting a lot of this data, and I'd say January 19th is when we're releasing our COVID cultural impact study. But the organizations that we've been serving, and I'm really just speaking on behalf of people like Wesley and Nicole, who have generously filled out a lot of our surveys, and thank you very much for doing that. But they are seeing more diverse audiences that are coming in through the digital platforms, and that is in terms of geography, in terms of race, in terms of age. Another demographic that we see that I'm a part of is, young families. Like, I got 2 kids and they're in school, and, a night out is a really tough thing. Like, that's a tough thing for everyone. And when we can sit, I was just telling Nicole, I saw the Beyond Ballet performance last night, and we just had it on while we were having dinner and getting ready for the next day of school, and the kids love it, and it's a great entry point for them. So I think there are new audiences, or more, there are more audiences that are able to connect in different ways. So we hope that continues.
Excellent questions, everybody, and interesting responses. Are there any other questions or comments for our presenters? Well, if not, I would like to profoundly thank everyone for their time, their input, their talent, and the difference that all of you are making in our communities and giving for good, which is our tagline for this year. So again, thank you all. Have a fabulous week and an even better Thanksgiving.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.